Yohan Blake is one of the fastest athletes of all time. He ran 9.69 in the 100 meter, rivaling people like Tyson Gay and Usain Bolt for one of the fastest people in the world. So in this video, I'm gonna break down his workouts to see if you can take anything from this to help yourself run faster. My name is Jess Shamari. I'm a high-level strength and conditioning coach who helps athletes transform their sprint speed and explosiveness. Okay, I am someone who literally breaks down every little aspect of training, so you're gonna see me pausing a lot and turn this 2-minute video into probably 8-minute video. The first thing he's doing is an extensive skip. It's 8 skips, so it's simple form drills, but something that a lot of people don't know is that you actually get plyometric contacts to the ankle. So when you're getting all these contacts to the ankle, it actually improves your tendon strength and elasticity, which is really important for producing force and utilizing your stretch shortening cycle. So yeah, you can improve your form, and yeah, you can kind of improve coordination and things like that, but you actually be surprised of the contacts and how much it builds up to having a really stiff ankle and improving your elasticity. So C skip, same thing, right? It's cool to improve the coordination. Improving coordination will actually help with turnover speed. That's like a little thing I've seen with some of my athletes recently, is the better the coordination gets, the faster they actually can turn over the legs, which can be helpful in some scenarios, especially max velocity, right? So improving coordination will help that, and then also you're getting the plyometric contacts to improve elasticity. Next one's a max effort block start. This may seem like you're just practicing technique, but something that you guys don't notice and is really important about improving your speed is actually timing everything. I wouldn't be surprised if, yes, he's improving his mechanics here, but he probably has some type of FAT right here around my mouse, where he's right the second he moves off the block, it's timing it, and then when he crosses the cone, let's say 30 meters, he's timing that, and then you slowly improve that time by 0.03, 0.04, and all of a sudden 2 to 3 months later, now you're running a whole 0.4 seconds faster, and that's a huge difference, especially in something like 100 meters. Just by getting those like little improvements, that's why you want to time every single time so you get max intent. Right here is going to open up the hips. It's a good kind of like a hip flexor burn. Another thing with like the whole plyometric contact thing, I don't want to keep repeating it. You're getting a lot of elastic contacts to the ankle, which is really good for improving stretch shortening cycle, but you're also improving your hip flexor strength, which some people and some coaches think is really important. For me, a little bit overrated, but I understand why that works for others, right? So some good coordination, some good hip flexor work. Now here, I love this right here. We're doing hurdle hops. It's one of the most important plyometrics for improving your vertical force production. What's cool about hurdle hops is that you're actually jumping and then decelerating and then redirecting the force. So because there's a horizontal momentum, it's actually much more transferable to sprinting, because sprinting is a momentum-based thing. So you're actually decelerating and then sprinting. So it's decelerate, force production. It's that cycle that you're going through. So it transfers a little bit more to like vertical jump, but it's really good for sprinting. Another little note here is that these are high hurdles, right? So the higher the hurdle, the more muscular force you can use. So if you are very elastic and let's say you struggle with acceleration, you might want to go with higher hurdles. But if you struggle with max velocity and you're not that elastic, but you're really strong, you might want to do lower hurdles to be more ankle dominant versus knee dominant. This one is, oh my God. Okay, so dumbbell jumps I love, right? You're gonna do resisted jumps. You'll do 10 to 20% of your body weight. But what he does here is he goes up the stairs to decrease impact. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose. Maybe his coach is doing it on purpose, but he's decreasing the impact by going upstairs while doing the dumbbell jumps. And then also it's a horizontal broad jump. So you're actually improving horizontal force, which is a big thing that a lot of athletes lack. They lack horizontal impulse or horizontal power, which is just pretty much how much force can you produce in a horizontal angle, which is usually like if you're slow in the first 0 to 20 meters, you're probably lacking horizontal power. And this is just a great drill to improve that, right? And then also you're going up the stairs, so it's less impact to the joints because you're not dropping down, right? It's less eccentric. This is another great drill. Makes sense why he's so fast. This is a max effort broad jump. Some might call it like a straight leg broad jump, or they might have it like Frankenstein's. There's so many different names for it, but it's just bounding. I said broad jump. I meant to say bounding. I'm sorry. Or some people might call it triple broad jump. It all depends on the person, right? But this is just a bounding drill. It might be straight leg bounding where you're producing horizontal force and then trying to stay elastic and bounce off the ground again with the momentum. But it's really hard, so the worse you are at this, the more you're gonna lean forward, and then it really just becomes a terrible exercise. But if you have really good form with this, this is a very potent exercise for improving your sprint speed, especially max velocity sprint speed. But you can change it in certain ways where it actually is more acceleration based, right? It just depends. Like you can put a band to it. You can kind of do what he's doing here where it's like more hip dominant versus ankle dominant. It just depends on how you like to do it, right? The next one is repeat broad jumps. I have this in my Speed Academy program. If you're not in the Speed Academy, it's a 12-month program that I use to take guys from 11.6 to 10.4 in the 100 meter. Hop on it. If you want to transform your speed, it's a 12-month program, but it's also a membership. So you can stop and start whenever you want. There you go. Simple plug. Repeat triple broad jumps though, really, really important for improving horizontal impulse, horizontal force. A huge study, or it's not even a study, it's just regular data. If you look at the best 40 yards in the NFL, the best 40 yards in the NFL, they usually have the best broad jumps. So their first 10 yards are ridiculous because their broad jump has high correlation to the first 10 yards. So the more you improve your broad jump by doing resisted broad jumps, triple broad jumps, regular max effort broad jumps by measuring it, the better your acceleration is going to get. And if your acceleration is better, you're going to be faster, which, like I said, this whole video, if you're slow, you probably lack in acceleration, right? And Johan Blake is known to be one of the best accelerators in the world of all time. And he's doing like quintuple broad jumps. These are like 7, 8, 10 broad jumps, which I am completely okay with. Very advanced though. I would start with just singles or triples. This is a unique one. So this is a concentric based like hamstring curl. You could just do a hamstring machine, but this is kind of like a plyometric for the hamstring in a sense, right? So this is maybe like a 10 to 20 pound med ball and he's just trying to throw it up as fast as possible, but it's more of like a reactive drill. So you want to relax your hamstrings and then instantly reflex it and turn it on the second you feel the med ball. The coach probably would even mix up the timing sometimes to make it more of like reaction based, because you can see he's trying to react as fast as possible. So this is a really cool drill. I've never personally tried it, but especially if you're injured and you have hamstring, or your hamstring's like a little bit like, you have some tendonitis or something like that, right? It's like a little bit tweaked out. There's no eccentric loading to this. It's just isometric and concentric, right? So you're just pushing, which means you could probably do this when you're a little bit injured and kind of like get some loading to the hamstring and kind of get it used to reflexing too, right? So it's interesting. I never tried it though, so I wouldn't say do it or not do it, right? The second one's gonna be a little more plyometric based. I'll probably try to pause a little bit less because he does a lot of the same drills here. So once again, he's using K-bands in this one, and I'm just gonna be the first one to say it. I actually bought these K-bands a long, long time ago before I was a strength and conditioning coach, and they don't really do anything, right? I did it with good training with good coaches too, and they even said it doesn't really work that much. All it really does is kind of turn on your hip flexors a lot, and when you're sprinting, it's like a huge myth that you actually use your hip flexors that much. Like they are important for the strength and for range of motion, but you're actually striking down a lot more with the glute and the hamstring more than you're lifting your knee for hip flexors. So what these type of like resistant bands do is just kind of like force you to drive your hips up or drive your knees up, and that's not really like what you want to do when you sprint. You want to produce force down, you don't want to produce force up and then start overstriding. But obviously he's an Olympic sprinter, so everyone's gonna be like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, I train guys who've had the same issue, and fixing it is gonna make them really fast, right? Straight leg bounding is really, really good for improving horizontal force. So you start to notice like almost every single plyometric exercise he's doing is kind of based around horizontal force. He has great vertical jump exercises where you're improving vertical force, but him being one of the best accelerators in the world, every single thing he's doing is horizontal base, which also will improve your vertical sprints, right? This is just a simple A switch. I actually like stuff like this, like A switches. I don't do a lot of technique work with my guys, but I do like stuff like this, you know, wall sprints, A sprints, because it teaches you how to actively reflex the legs, right? How to do it fast. And the better you could do that, the better you land on your center of mass, which will allow you to use your stretch shortening cycle a lot more. I'm kind of talking a lot, sorry. All right, lateral jumps into a lunge. This is like just a good circuit exercise. It's good just for having like good lateral glute health, right? Nothing really too crazy about it. It won't really like transform you or anything like that. I'm gonna skip forward just a little bit. Once again, just A skips, A runs. Resisted, okay, so this is interesting. Resisted A runs are actually really good for improving your mechanics, right? They kind of like make you auto-regulate to have perfect mechanics without having to say anything. So when you're trying to improve technique, you don't want to think all the time. You actually want to do drills that put you in those positions without you having to think, just doing it naturally. And these are one of those drills that kind of like cleans up your mechanics just by itself. Just by itself. You don't really have to say much. You could just put a friend behind him. Don't tell him to run better. Just pull him with the good resistance and just let him go. Now you know what type of exercises Johan Blake does, but you need to know how to have good mechanics on top of that. So watch this video right here or one of these videos right here, and then hop on the Speed Academy. You want to transform your speed. It's the best program out there to transform your speed.